You're listening to Your Magical Midlife. This podcast is for women who are seekers, dreamers, and unconventional thinkers. If you're a Gen X woman who's always walked your own path, but now feel like you've lost your way, listen up. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and coach, and I'm here to guide you back to yourself and to help you reconnect with your joy, your passion, and your purpose. Midlife knocked me sideways. I was not prepared for all the challenges that piled up one by one. Everything in my life felt like it was imploding, including my health and my sense of self. By the time I hit 50, I was completely lost. But here's the good part. I'm finding my way, and so can you. I'll be dropping episodes every Thursday on everything from ambivalent aging, to body changes, to relationship shifts, to career challenges, financial fears, crazy family dynamics, and spiritual awakenings. Some weeks I'll be musing, some weeks I'll be ranting, and sometimes I'll have amazing guests who will share their expertise with you. Midlife brings a lot of change and a lot of challenges, but there's also so much magic to be uncovered. Let's dive in. Elizabeth Hammond, aka the Queen Whisperer, is a visionary leadership mentor. We have such an amazing conversation. She helps women in leadership do things innovatively and with a lot of fun, never losing their personality. You can follow her on Instagram at The Queen Current to check out all her offerings, including her free membership, Viva. I'm so pleased to share this interview with you.
Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm well, Kate. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you here. I've been stalking you online and looking at your work, and I'm so intrigued by your concept and how you help women transform themselves at this time and how you help them elevate themselves from where they are now to where they want to be. And I think that's what we all want, right?
That's what we all want. Well, I also love being here, Kate. I feel like takes a soul sister to know one. And so I think it's really fun that in this complex AF day and age, that
God.
soul sisters still, I feel like we glow to one another. We glow to one another. Somewhat, that's a borrowed phrase, but I'm going to use it. And I think you're right. I think you got right at the essence of what's the thing that you know how to do when you feel like, all right, like no one is coming. Like you and I are both women old enough to know, like, hopefully we're all coming. But to save us, to like do all the things, no. I mean, in this interconnected world, at the same time, like, daily life is so personal, right? I love that you're having me here. First of all, you're a Kate, and that is what my father wanted my name to be.
Interesting.
And family, I've come from a family that is from Canada, Mexico, and the US. And both my mom and dad were real readers and writers professionally and personally. So at the time that they're having kids, this is the early 70s, my dad was doing a lot of Shakespeare. Catherine, I don't know if you know, Kate, Kiss Me Kate, but The Taming of the Shrew. My mother, who gave birth, was reading Jane Austen. And so I became Catherine with a C because she was like, I think I will choose the spelling, thank you. And so I am an Elizabeth, but I'm also a Catherine. So I feel like I got drawn to you.
Interesting, because I'm a Kathleen.
You're a Kathleen?
My confirmation name is Elizabeth. Interesting, right?
Stuff. So you asked me, you kind of said, well, what is the work that I'm doing? I've done a lot of work that has wound around geographically and even across borders and languages. And when I kind of discovered the magic of you can jump online with a queen anywhere and I feel like women have figured something out that women have always known. How can we weave together like your magic and my magic to move on personally and collectively? Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of work right now. Like I work specifically in the realm of leadership. Right. And that can be interpreted in so many ways. Right. If you're a mama, that's one thing. If you are not at all a mama, but you're a woman, then like you need to lead yourself and your body and like, how much water do I drink? And like, did I also have cafecito or chai today? Like leadership can be very personal. And to look around, like our global leadership, Kate, holy F, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I pick up my phone and I'm like, what's happening and what's happening now? And I don't know that we're exactly the same age, but I grew up in a time kind of with a general sense that like, hey, maybe governments were going to be a bit stable or, or maybe optimistically, like a lot was going to go really well and we were going to get together and learn stuff. And there's a lot of that happening. And there's a lot of complexity right now.
Yeah.
And so collective, I feel like ever since the pandemic and newly in new ways, like becomes personal, right? Like people are stressed out. I don't know what's going to happen if you're parenting or you're caring for, in my case, and I don't know in yours, but parents who are no longer spring chickens, right? Elder care.
All
And
of
then
it.
maybe trying to navigate a personal love or romantic or all manner of relationship in your living space. Yeah.
It's a lot. Do you think that I want to kind of touch on something you dusted up against? Do you think that there is an awakening happening now at this time? Do you feel like it's the rise of the feminine? You hear a lot of that online. And I feel like that's aligned with the work that you're doing. If I could make a leap to that, would you agree?
I am going to, you know what? My first instinct was to, I have everything next to me. I was like, I have a little mirror for you. Oh, look, there she is. What would your response to that be?
I mean, I think so. I think that we are, but I also think that there's the global awakening of the divine feminine and the reconnecting to the divine feminine, but there's also a massive awakening that happens to women around the time they hit perimenopause. I know it happened for me. Literally wake up one day and are like, what the actual fuck? What the actual fuck? I've lived this, certain number of years. I did these experiences, and now I'm sitting here with the gifts and the wreckage of what I've created. And I have to sort through it and figure out, how do I want to spend the next 40 years, the next 50 years, wherever I have left. I'm 54, so all the way through menopause. All right, I had a hysterectomy, so that I took the express route. But I feel like I was going along like almost asleep, and I hit a wall. Like I hit the wall, and I was like, what am I doing? What am I about? I don't want this corporate job. I don't want any of this. It was like, burn it to the ground, start over. But I don't think this is a unique experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that I had turned that around to you. Great answer. And I just want to quickly share, because as I laughed, I thought of it. Borrowed from my mother is an answer when someone's like, I don't know. And I've used this as a dialogue tool with little people, little humans, all the way to, to women in the perimenopause of when the I don't know. Well, what would you say if you did know? And then you're just quiet for a minute. It's so interesting how people who have just told you that they don't know, when you're like, well, what if simultaneously you were this other like wiser version of yourself, past or future? And what if you did know? And it's like, oh, and I love it. Oh, well, if I did know, I would do this. It's like, okay. Well, let me know, it's like, let me know if that occurs to you. It's beautiful. So, I love it. And although I know a bit about your story, right? It's always interesting. I feel like it's interesting to get people's kind of retelling right now as you see and feel it. So you're like, I got to a real peak and then like that vantage point. And my story, Kate, I've been doing like peaks and valleys literally for fucking years. The like, what the actual fuck? Like for me, I was raised in Washington State, but at 16, I mentioned my family from a few countries. I wanted to go learn Espanol. So I went off to Venezuela for a year.
Who did you go with? By yourself?
Not by myself exactly, but with a foreign exchange program that had been established after World War II. But girl, I was 16.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, see you, mom, and flew to Miami and then flew to Caracas and got together with 90 kids from all over the world. And they gave us this great orientation and like, soy Elizabeth, soy de Washington. Well, I'm 16. I'm real far away from home, like before the internet. And so that was like one moment, but I feel like that was served me so well. Like to go find another, like what the actual fuck, right? So girl, I like moved around the country. I went from the Bay Area to LA, to New York, to Chicago, back to the Bay Area, to beach in Mexico, to a city by the sea right? I did a lot of literal laps. And it's interesting. I don't know why. It's just like my particular star stuff karma or intellectual. I don't know what it is, but like my family is not like that. Like my folks are in Washington, right? Like their families both came from a couple of borders. My brother's back in California.
You were the adventurer in your family.
Yeah. And what I find with every woman is that each of us has to say, all right, what is this version of my story? Right? And whatever these kind of points, I'm like, am I jumping off this cliff? It's like, nope. Like I'm up climbing or I'm down climbing or I'm going back or I absolutely am. Right? Or maybe it's like the trapeze, like, oh, okay. I find that all the time. I'm so adventurous and I did this and I sailed most of the way across an ocean. And I've done a lot and I'm proud of myself and I celebrate. And there's always a like this moment of like, where you have to let go.
And let go and trust yourself, really. Let go and trust yourself. So talk to me about like leadership coaching.
Yeah.
A very broad term.
Absolutely.
Like most leadership coaches, if you don't mind me saying, Miss Queen Whisperer, if you don't mind me saying, you seem to do it a little differently than most leadership coaches. You're not particularly corporate. I don't see you're not here in your navy blue suit with your, LinkedIn profile projected behind you. Like leadership coaching has a feeling of being very fit in this box, and you are all about not fitting in the box. So talk to me about your woman, who you help, where they start, and where you help them get to.
I love it. I will totally talk to you about that. And one thing I want to say to you and to any woman who's trying to do her own thing, like all we've got is a Zoom box, right? Like, but we can do a lot of things in it. One of the things that I do simultaneously as I build things my own way is I'm a leadership associate. So I work corporate and I wear a navy blue polo and I have really cute navy blue pants that I got the last time I was in Seattle. And for me, that's a great symbiotic relationship. And I'm a little different than who usually shows up, right? But I just signed up to do some delivery work in Mexico City. And I did work. This is a global consultancy out of the UK, but they work with clients all over the place. I did some work in Argentina. And I bring the very different, even the way I am, even in my blue polo. I've got my earrings and whatever my hair is doing at the time. And being a woman of a certain age and experience. And as a real intentional practice, one of the things I do is in broadly in the world of yoga, satya. It's a truth-telling practice, which is like, I don't pretend to be a perfect human being, but I'm really good at this. This is my growth edge based on what I know about myself in all these sectors and the feedback that I've gotten, right? Like leadership to me broadly has been a lot of different ways. And so in turn, the way that I coach looks a lot of different ways, right? And so I look a little different on Instagram than I do on LinkedIn. One of my goals is to keep merging all of that. And so these days, I don't look that different. If there's something that I'm like, is that, again, the Satya thing, like, am I telling you the truth because I told you that your hair sticks up? It's like, well, it's not that I'm not telling you the truth, but then you come around to these, like, is it kind? Is it necessary? Like, I believe we're in such an age of, is it useful? Right? And the way that I coach anybody to do anything is everyone is so clear on what doesn't work and what they don't like and what they no longer want to be and what they don't like about you or your opinion or your side of the line or your color of polo. People have less space until you create a structure in which they can like experience it for, and what would you propose?
How did you step into this work in the first place? Like, what is like, where, because you don't just start as a leadership expert. How did you learn to lead?
Oh my gosh. All right. You're going to laugh, but you want to hear my like bullet, really funny, like what I did. Cause I said, all right, Venezuela at 16, I came back home to small town Washington State. And I was so much nicer to my parents for my senior year of high school. Because I had lived in like a foreign country, which is very foreign. I had like this whole other new persona. From there, I went to school in Massachusetts at a small liberal arts college. And then I spent one semester at a women's college at Wellesley.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where Hillary went.
Yep. 7 sisters.
7 sisters. And from there, I spent a semester in Spain, where they told me that I talked like the Venezuelan soap operas. Went back to college and I wrote a thesis about women and soap operas. From that thesis, I received a fellowship to spend 1 year in Latin America studying women and soap operas. I went to Mexico City and I got to live with my extended family. So my grandmother, who was born in Mexico, left as a girl. She had some siblings who went back. And I ended up with this extended cousin network and a stint in the educational TV and network television. And then I put on my backpack and I traveled down through Central America and back to Venezuela and Colombia and Ecuador and Peru. Was like, what soap operas are you watching? And what do you think about her? And this is when I'm like 23. I was a bilingual elementary school teacher, Spanish and English, through Teach for America in Oakland.
Okay.
From there, I was a Hollywood assistant at Telemundo. From there, I went to New York City and I ended up in educational publishing within the technology world. So related to the media and weaving in the bilingual education for a moment at a startup. After being in Manhattan on the morning of September 11th, Kate.
I was there too.
You were?
Well, I'm from New York. I'm a New Yorker. I was working that day, but I was in Queens and I served first responders after 9/11.
I was a New Yorker for a hot second. I lived with the Upper West Side and then in the West Village and was working in Soho with a view of the towers from where I worked at Scholastic at the time, but was in a classroom. And
So you had to manage all those scared kids that day.
Well, we were the visiting adults. We were there for the moment. We connected with the teacher as the adult because she answered her cell phone during a reading lesson. We both said, that's odd. And then she looked at us and above the heads of these little humans and said, oh, this has happened. And then 45 minutes later, they came over the loudspeaker and said, oh, this has happened again. So here is what I remember being in Manhattan that day is on that morning, all of a sudden, like people made eye contact and they connected. People helped each other.
They did.
Mass exodus and the presence of what happened. And then this is just the final piece. And then I'll go to my movements because I did keep moving as a real response to that day. And the energy of what are you going to choose, right? The wolf inside, like this is the worst thing that's ever happened. Probably experientially in all of the people who were present. What do you do? What do you do?
Right.
Is it, do you escalate that and my colleague and I, we had made it back to Broadway. We'd stopped at his apartment. We'd seen what was happening. People were going and going, like moving uptown and moving. And it was very stark. It was very real. Folks who'd been really downtown were ash covered, and these are Wall Street folks. You're talking about kind of how people look and present. And people had their suits, briefcases, and were walking.
Right.
One voice kind of did this, like, we mentioned Seattle. The first thing I thought was like this mosh pit, but like no bueno, like angry, like, who the fuck, like, just like, who was this? And unable to like contain the physics of like this rage and this disbelief and the like, where do I strike? And it was one of those moments of like, hey man, we don't know what happened. Like, we don't know. And it was just remarkable. And all the way up Broadway, storefronts opened, and then a bastion of people coming to help.
Yeah, absolutely. But I really want to focus on how you help women now, who you want to help, who you are helping, what do they come to you with? How do you help them tease out stepping into their authority?
I love it. So to just follow the thread of a point that really exploded everything for me, that took me swirling around the country and through more jobs and through different relationships and the way that I grounded, connecting with literal nature gave me a perspective that I could not come to in my head, that I could not come to in rush hour traffic, that I could not come to on the New York City subway. Depending on where you live, it's easy for you and I to say, but anybody listening, any queen listening, it was like, all right, well, that's fine for you, ma'am, senora. And what about me? How do I know how to do it? So I'll give you a couple building blocks for me. These moves, I was moving from clinical depression. Like my brain that was very busy and my heart that was really fucking sad. And like, I was lonely and disconnected from family. And they're like, why the fuck is she moving all the time? And I'm smart. And so I had a lot of jobs, right? Job. Crashing down after getting dumped on the eve of my 30th birthday, a story for another day. But I had to like climb out of that. Nobody was climbing out of it for me. Right? Whether it was September 11th or deep loss or trauma in this way or a job transition, or I was just reading about a friend, a loss of a child, a pregnancy that miscarries. We experience a lot of loss.
We do.
And so how do we do it? I came back to my literal breath. Yoga's annoying unless it's not, right? I actually found a practice that gave me a tool that was physiological. Instead of a pill, take that to feel this. First, notice how you feel. And if you swing your arms up and over your head, palms out, facing forward like your face, you create movement and energy in your chest. And I had one of my first and most important teachers said to me, your system cannot handle processing your brain depressed, the movement of your arms, and the tightness of the chest, which is where depression kind of ends up as it presents in terms of symptoms. She was like, the system can't handle it. And all of a sudden, the next thing she did, where she totally had me, she did a workshop that was called Home for the Holidays. And there was a hangover sequence, a holiday blues sequence, the too much bubbly, the like, I'm fighting with my in-laws and it's dark out sequence.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is practical. And that was one practice. Being outside was another. And doing a lot of my own path and my own work, which I have really distilled into a handful of things. So I work in pillars that we can all get because kindergartners and PhD students can all remember three things. Your voice. Like as a woman, if you can come home to something that feels like I am speaking using my own voice, like maybe I'm not shouting because I'm not fucking extroverted. Like maybe I'm whispering, like, right? And it would be nice if I were the only queen on this planet, but there's about 4 billion of us, right? And so how does my vision come together with your vision, right? What I want to do and how I want to bring something into being. So there's work, there's personal, and then there's work that's interpersonal. And then there's work that is the thing that you're kind of trying to do. And so, Kate, for now, for me, it depends on, do I have a corporate client or do I have a woman who has come to me who is really working on something inside of her body? At the start of this conversation, you mentioned perimenopause, right? Or I have women who come to me and do not know that everything is connected. Like, I am trying to lead my team. Like, my mother is experiencing like her own trauma as she goes through chemotherapy, right? These different pieces of our lives that are woven together. And generally as women in corporate structure or even within nonprofit structure or even within our own circles, we don't have a lot of models for how to come together. And I have honestly been fortunate enough to come into so many forms of different women's circles that I am taking what I'm learning. And I know that the more that I practice for myself in my own household, like with that loving man who can't turn off the bathroom light, right? It's like there's so many small things that we need to work on. And I work with women in something that I call a frequency fix. It's a 1 hour power hour. If you're like, I'm trying to do this thing, like maybe you're an online entrepreneur and you very specifically have a network marketing question, like something isn't working, I've got sales, I've been doing this, or maybe that isn't your jam at all. Maybe you're trying to single mom. And so you're trying to get aligned in a different way. I have a program that is called Enthroned, Kate. It's some woman who just is like, I need my mojo back. And you don't get it from me, but I lead you on a 6-week journey where it's like you come down and you ground into whatever your throne happens to look like. So I feel in with you 6-week flash sessions. I do those 33 minutes, 33 minutes, 33 minutes with a little Telegram support.
So that's a 1-to-1 or that's a group?
That's a 1-to-1.
Okay.
And then the place to find me 1-to-many is very cool because you're catching me at a moment that I just opened a totally free Telegram channel that's bilingual. Viva. So Viva, long live, alive, VIVI, close to diva. And I will make sure that you can find that on Elizabeth Queen Whisperer. What we're doing in that channel is I am doing small bite-sized teachings, transmissions, frequency fixes as things come into me. And as I am my own living woman, building a business, trying to manage, a lot in my history, I lead a full life, as we all do. Any queen listening to me does, listening to us as you do. We have a history, right? And because I've done so many things, that's the kind of magic that you do not find with another kind of leadership coach. The queen whispering is something that I have been able to tune into for myself, where I've been able to build exactly the life that I want, right? I migrate. I go home to my family in Washington State. I'm able to move between Canada, the US, and Mexico. I'm still in tune with nature. My Canadian family came to Mexico and we got to see the whales this year. And I get to go to my 30th college reunion in Massachusetts. And it just coincided with work that came to me in Mexico City. And then literally this morning, I was up early with clients in Asia and the client from Germany. So I feel like I am just working from a place of being really connected right now. And so when women come to me leading a nonprofit in a transition from corporate, and although I am not a mother, my girl, I was a third grade teacher in Oakland. And I had 30 third graders, and of the 30, 22 were boys.
Oh, wow.
Like, right? And I still teach kids and their families because I like them.
Yeah.
Like they're baby Buddhas we could all use.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if people want to connect with you, what's the best way?
The best way is on Instagram at Elizabeth Queen Whisperer. You can also find me if you're a LinkedIn kind of gal, Elizabeth Catherine with a Catherine. Elizabeth Catherine Hammond, Hammond, like Hammond eggs.
Nice. Nice.
On LinkedIn. And from there, let's funnel into Viva. And so Viva is like this fun Telegram group. It's audio transmissions. I do an English version y una versión en español. My jam is called The Current and then La Corriente. So if you even are curious and you want to listen into it, as there's so much border turmoil, and as I come from a family like with women who are my direct ancestors, brave enough to say, I'm going to go elsewhere and build and dream and explore and play.
It sounds amazing. So the Viva program is all on Telegram and it's 100% free?
It's 100% free. And there's a rhyme and reason to that, business girl. Within Viva, I'm also going to be dropping, as they come out, some more stuff, right? So for my business girls, a couple years ago, I ran this amazing cohort, the Savvy CEO Collective. So 2.0 is out, and we're going to be launching later in April, Savvy Sacred, right? As I do this learning, I see, like I said, people think they just need business help. And they're processing a personal health issue, which brings up emotional issues. And whenever I'm out of my depth, I connect into my interdependent network. And so as I design containers, I really listen into my audience and say, okay, well, around the elections, what do people need? How about breath work? Right? I do retreats. Right? Wonderful. Is it dark at your northern latitude? Come down to the Whales in Baja California Sur. And I'll be doing mini minds. And later in 2025, I'll be opening a 6-month mastermind.
Oh, delicious. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to link all of your things in the show notes. I'm so grateful you came on today. You are so lit up. We're so
well, do not let me finish, Kate, without inviting you, please, to a fun little series. It's like a little flash series. You know me, my energy is a girl on the go. But a queen like you, I would just be so honored if you would come and speak live with me on Queens Without Borders. role model some of my listening skills, and you can share with my audience some of your magic. And maybe we have a Zoom like cafecito or something, because you and I could go, girl. Like we have so many threads to tie together and weave.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so happy that you came on today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. What an honor and a privilege again. And Kate, always so good to vibe with a queen. Thank you for your time, and you are welcome for being here. What fun. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to Your Magical Midlife. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. You can follow me on Instagram at Your Magical Midlife, and you can check out my offerings on my website, yourmagicalmidlife.com. I offer individual and small group coaching, as well as luxury retreats for women in midlife and beyond who are seekers, dreamers, and unconventional thinkers. You can book a complimentary discovery call in the calendar link in my show notes. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate it if you left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or share this episode with a friend. And I will talk to you next week.